Let's crack open a beer and share some thoughts.
Welcome to Hopinions, and I have no fucking idea what we're doing here tonight.
No, but we're back though.
We are back.
Happy New Year, Steve.
And Happy New Year to you. But yeah, we're not in control of this evening.
When you say we're not in control, I'm used to that, Steve.
I'm not in control of what we're doing this evening, and that's pushing me outside my comfort zone a little bit. Already, and we're only a couple of seconds in. Now, we're not alone this evening, are we? We are joined by a returning guest. Ruth, welcome back to Hopinions. Happy New Year to you. And this is this show is all your idea.
Yeah, I'm starting to regret that really quickly. But yes, all my idea.
Yeah, so let me see if I've got the concept of what we're about to do right.
Go.
So we're going to do a series of pairs of drinks.
Correct.
One of which is a beer.
Also correct.
One of which is not a beer.
You're very clever.
Brilliant. It's just liquid in a glass. and what you've done is you've matched drinks based on things like their taste profile and flavours and
so
that sort of thing.
Trying to look at things more in terms of flavour rather than in terms of what they are.
Okay.
So looking at the similarities between different drinks, whether it's wines or spirits or beers, rather than what they're kind of made of.
Rather than saying they're wines, beers, spirits.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that in beer world, we get really upset with people who go, oh yeah, I don't like beer. And yet there are lots of people who trot around and say, oh, I don't really like wine. But there are so many products or so many drinks that have really similar attributes. So what I try to do is, they're not necessarily things that will taste the same, but hopefully if you like that kind of characteristic in a beer, you'll like the other thing.
Okay.
And you're not going to know what they are.
And we're not going to know. And helping us to not know what they are, we've got our own... Butler for this evening. Also a returning guest, shouting from the background. Welcome, Matt. You're back on the show, Matt Chinnery.
Hello.
That's all we're getting from you, is it?
That's it. Hello.
Okay, so you're serving us our drinks this evening, aren't you? You've got everything's wrapped in foil behind you. So we've got no idea of what we're about to be presented. I reckon we just dive straight in with the first pair.
The first pairing, yeah.
And see what happens. We're presented with two glasses. One is obviously a beer. And the other is, to my eye, looks like a white wine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I suggest we do is...
Both served in wine glasses, not
both
to help
served
us.
in wine glasses. Okay. I guess tasting beer is very similar to tasting any drink. So firstly, you're going to kind of look at it. You want to smell, taste it. But when we're tasting, rather than kind of thinking, oh, I like it or I don't like it, just try and think, what's the flavour profile in drink number one? What's the flavour profile in drink number two? And kind of think of it more in terms of flavour than it being a specific thing, if that makes any kind of sense.
Okay, and is there one you want us to try first?
No, whatever you like.
Okay.
I'd have a sip of one, then a sip of the other, and kind of drink them like...
Okay, well, customary.
Fisting.
Cheers then.
Cheers.
That's Steve's sour face, everyone, for
tart.
people who can't see it.
Jesus.
Okay.
She's dived in straight away.
I did warn you, I'm so sorry.
Favourite styles.
Oh.
What do we think?
I actually prefer the one that's not a beer.
Okay, interesting. Very interesting.
There's a sharpness to both of them.
Yeah. I
Isn't
think,
there?
the non-beer, I think it's quite a bit sweeter.
Okay.
For me, there's a lot more sweetness comes through on the nose and on the finish as well. The beer is literally like drinking a soured grapefruit juice for me.
Yep, I mean, I wouldn't. The first one, the beer, which is, I suppose the best way to describe it, looks like a New England IPA, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. And that's,
to be fair,
and that's the first trick that was played on me, because that's what I was expecting to taste.
Yeah, to be honest, I wouldn't be able to tell that was actually a beer, just because.
What, number one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because of the sharpness and the sourness and the fruitiness to it. Second drink, it's definitely. I'm getting a bit of vinegar on the nose though. There's an astringency to it, which I'm picking up.
Do you like it or not like it?
I like the taste, but the actual, when you get an aroma or a flavour that is an off-putting one. And so the obvious one for me, Matt, is Sriracha. Once you get Sriracha in you, I find it hard to get anything else because it's something that I don't like.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
I'm getting vinegar and it's really struggling.
I'm not getting vinegar. I am getting. I don't know how to explain it. It's like it's a little bit abrasive on the finish. So it's a little bit. It's a sharpness, but it's a sweet sharpness. There's some bitterness in it as well, which is probably why I'm leaning more towards that one than I am.
But then it comes back to your grapefruit thing, because grapefruit, freshly squeezed, quite piffy. You got some bitterness from everything else that comes with it. I actually quite like that first cloudy drink. I just don't think it's beer.
Would you like? Oh, you don't think thing number one is beer?
I'm not convinced.
Interesting. Oh, I really have screwed with you a little bit, haven't I? Okay.
So it just doesn't feel like it because of the flavour.
Yeah.
Would you like to know what you've been drinking?
Yes.
Cool,
Let's find out what we've been drinking.
So, drink number one is a beer. So, drink number one is Crate Sour. It's 3.5%. It's kettle sour with it's yuzu juice in it, and it's dry hopped with citra.
That's an unusual sour.
It's a very unusual sour.
You're going to say shower though, weren't you?
I was going to say shower, yeah.
But that's fine.
I tried to write it out, but thanks
that's fine.
Thanks for making that impossible to edit out now
Exactly.
as well, so.
Next.
So, drink number two is also brewed. It is brewed in exactly the same place. So, it's also brewed in Hackney Wick. And it's kombucha.
Okay, I have no idea what this is, but I keep seeing people tweet about it.
Yeah, it's kind of the thing of the moment,
It is the thing of the moment. So, this is jar kombucha. So, it's made on the same site as Crate in Hackney Wick. So kombucha is a fermented tea. So essentially you make a...
So you should like this.
You should like this. You should hate this, Steve.
Yeah, this is weird. There's a weird kind of Freaky Friday role reversal thing going on here. I'm liking the tea thing and you're not.
No, I'm not. Because I've got this, like I said, the vinegary thing going on.
So kombucha is made, you take tea, so the guys at Jar use organic loose leaf mix of green and black tea. Brew it with filtered water, you leave it to steep for 20 minutes, take out the tea leaves, add loads of sugar, leave it to cool a little bit, and then you add something called a SCOBY, which I have had to write down what it stands for. A SCOBY is a symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast. So essentially it's like a little starter bacteria creature that holds lots of bacteria and yeast in it, and that then helps the sugar ferment. And it ferments partly into alcohol, so this is around 0.5, maybe a little bit less percent ABV.
So class is no alcohol.
So class no alcohol, and then the rest ferments into acid, which is why you're getting the vinegary sharpness to it.
I mean,
You're getting that vinegary on the nose.
But I wouldn't have known it was no alcohol.
It's cool, isn't it?
I would not have known that. Definitely not.
I really like kombucha. For me, it's a thing that has got enough flavour and enough interest. You kind of drink it at the same speed that you drink a beer or a wine. My main issue if you're going out and you're not drinking is that I don't want to have fruit juice. I get bored of lime and soda. And so you can have something that's quite interesting and I think really tasty.
I think it's tasty, but the nose would stop me drinking it. That particular one anyway.
So they make lots of different flavours as well. This is the natural versions. This is the tea and fermentation, nothing else. You can get, from Jar, you can get a ginger and they do a passion fruit. But there's loads of people doing kind of lemon or orange or whatever flavour you fancy, really.
But I think if you didn't have the same, if you weren't picking up the same thing but I don't like in it, like that vinegary type of aroma, which presumably everyone else wouldn't get anyway, I think you'd be hard pressed to say that had nothing in it, no alcohol.
Yeah.
If you just put it down as a welcome,
I'm really surprised.
As a welcome drink.
Yeah.
You know, you go to a reception, a welcome drink, tray of drinks, it's there with everything else. I mean, it's unrecognisable from, like you said, a white wine at the start, or even a white wine spritzer. You know.
Yeah. And this is quite low carbonation. So the guys at Jar force carbonate their kombucha. A lot of them are bottle conditioned, essentially. So they'll put a little bit of like the yeast left in there, so you'll get probably a bit more fizziness as well. So it'd look like champagne or prosecco or.
It's a nice little bottle,
similar. And it's really cute.
I mean, it's hard to describe it. But it's like it's a 240 milliliter. It's almost like a medicine jar.
Yeah,
like a small medicine jar.
TCP.
Well, that doesn't help me, does it? Thanks. Yeah. I'm already getting a bit of good smell now. We've got the TCP.
Oh, sorry about that. So What was your thinking behind the pairing of these two? What's the similarity here that you were looking for?
So I really want to do a kombucha. I think it's a really interesting drink. It is very kind of the moment, it's massive in the States, massive in Australia. It's starting to be really big in the UK as well. It is mainly in cities. It needs to be cold stored, so you'll tend to find it, like you might have several people brewing in London, you might have some people brewing in Manchester. Because it needs that cold storage to stop it going a bit mental, and then it probably won't get massive distribution, but you'll probably find people kind of popping up all over the place. I want to do that because it's interesting, but it also for me has massive similarities with beer. It's essentially made in a very similar way to you'd make sort of alembic style. The reason behind the pairing is I love that they're made in the same place, and then with the crate you've got similar sourness, you've got similar fruitiness. So it's really sort of trying to play it on the more kind of citrus sour end of things.
Yeah, I mean the appearance obviously no similarities whatsoever.
I didn't know the sour was going to be quite that murky. I've only ever had it on keg and it didn't look like that.
And even the aroma not so much, but I think the background flavour profiles, there are definitely similarities in there.
There are hints of things that are the same.
There's a crossover. Yeah. To coin a phrase which we're probably quite familiar with.
Yeah.
I guess the hope is that if you had someone who really loved drinking sours, then in the kombucha you'd find something you also really liked. It also works really well as a mixer, so you could add gin or vodka or any other thing. So a lot of people are doing kombucha cocktails.
Okay, so I suppose even with your cocktail then you're bringing down the alcohol levels by using kombucha as one of the component parts. Yeah,
so rather than having gin and tonic, you could have gin and kombucha, you get more complexity, you get the sourness, you get the fruitiness.
It's interesting actually. But yeah, it's a lovely looking bottle. I mean, I think that would look really nice as a...
Yeah.
If you had all of them, or however many they do, all lined up, I think it would look quite good, especially if they did like different colours. Different ones. I think they'd look quite good.
Yeah.
It's an interesting pairing.
It is. I just got a little bit lost when Ruth said gin, because I'm remembering to one of her last appearances on the show where she suddenly pulled out a bottle of gin at the end of the...
Yeah, that was the hot gin from Renegade.
There's no gin yet.
No gin?
No, yet.
Yet. Sorry. I'm so sorry.
Anyway, should we ask our butler? What does he think?
Let's involve him in it, I suppose.
Come on, Matt, what do you think?
I'm with you with the vinegar, but white vinegar, because I prefer having white vinegar on my chips, and I think the aroma is that, but I do like it though, really like it.
Good.
I think the pairing's quite good. I think two completely different drinks, I think it's there,
Yeah, no, thank you very much.
Cool, cheers mate, I'll pay you later.
Yeah, it's a good pairing, but I wasn't expecting, effectively a Citra beer to come out.
No, I wasn't. Like I say, when I saw it, I was like, she's gone straight in with a New England IPA.
And I'd probably say that's the best crate beer I've had. I've only had a few offerings from Crane, but it's the best one I've had.
I like their sours. I found that some of their pales are a little bit mixed and not necessarily that consistent, but the sours I really like.
So, thumbs up, 3.5% and a 0%. That's all right, see?
That's a good
we're easing our way in.
Easing our way in. We've got 4 more of these pairings to get through. Right, so while we finish off this first pair, Ruth, it's been a while since you've joined us on Hopinions, and your career in the industry has changed a little, hasn't it? So bring our listeners up to speed with where you are now, because you were with West Berks Brewery.
Yes.
You're no longer there.
No.
So tell us where you are now.
So I left West Berks about 3 months ago, and I'm now head of sales at a small distillery called Fisher's. We distill on the Suffolk coast, which is where I'm from, and I'm in charge of selling stuff, basically. So gin flogger.
Gin flogger.
Is that what you are
so
now?
Your official job description?
Official gin flogger, yes, that's the one.
And is that the only thing they do? Is it gin or...?
One gin at the moment. We're opening a new distillery this year at some point. Until it's actually making gin, then we're trying not to sort of shout about it too much. At that point, then we're going to look at different varieties, not necessarily flavoured things. The key thing about Fisher's is we distill using some forage botanicals. So we're looking at potentially expanding that and using different flavours that you find on the coast, flavours that are kind of unique to the UK.
And have you found in your time since kind of moving into a different area of the drinks industry, are there lots of similarities, or is it completely different? What's it been like?
I think there are similarities. For me, I'm really lucky that I get to still play with some of the same customers, which is really nice. And also one of the things I think I probably did at West Berks is I didn't just talk about beer, I talk about gin or wine or anything. I think is
anything alcoholic.
Anything, or non-alcoholic, hey, or kombucha. I think if you're going out and kind of trying to sell something to someone, then just talking about one thing all the time is a bit boring. So it's good to have that kind of breadth of conversation more than anything else. The thing I have found different is the way that socialising is done is quite different. It's not really kind of pints in the pub. It's
pints of gin, would that be a big night though, wouldn't it?
It's a lot of cocktails.
That'd be a big night.
So yeah, so my cocktail knowledge has increased significantly. I've developed a very almost a fetish about glassware and ice. Ice is my new thing, so you can get some really beautiful hand cut ice cubes that exactly don't fall.
Surely ice is ice.
No.
Oh, so you walked into that
so
one, didn't you?
My word.
But just to be clear, I haven't got any hand cut ice for us tonight from work.
I'm sorry. Ice isn't ice. So the larger the surface area of the ice in your drink, then the quicker it's going to dilute. So if you have one really big piece of ice, it's going to dilute your drink slower than if you have lots of little ones. Think about chips. So if you have a fry,
can do that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So a French fry versus a chunky chip. French fries, you get more fat because you've got lots of surface area because they cut smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've never understood this one with chips, because surely French fries are smaller.
No, but you have more of them for the same weight.
Okay.
Yeah. So rather, if you cut a chunky chip in 4, then you've got 4 times the surface area for the same amount of chip.
Because you've got the four sides.
Yeah, you can explain it all day.
I feel that I didn't do very well at GCSE maths.
Did you see me glaze over when you tried to start explaining it?
Big ice is better than small ice.
Okay.
In most situations, because what you want ice to do is to chill the drink down, but not dilute it. You want a little bit of dilution, but don't want it to dilute too much, otherwise you're just drinking water.
And so,
that's my new thing is ice in glasses.
Assuming that
which is different to beer.
It is different to beer.
Ice is a big part of the process of serving.
It is. I think it also it really adds to the theatre of the serve. If you've got someone it's going into an ice machine and dump it in a glass, then that's fine. It's probably going to be a really nice drink. But if you've got someone there with a knife and a chisel on the bar, then that's a kind of a really wow thing that you can add. I
suppose that's the same as if you have certain cocktails, you have crushed ice in them, don't you?
Yeah.
Some of them you have small ice. Some of you, like you say, might have the one ice cube. I suppose it is. It's back to the theatre and the different glassware for the different cocktails. But still similarities with the beer world, because the glassware. The glassware is big in the beer world.
It's all about the theatre. That's the thing. It's about theatre in beer or in spirits or in anything really. It's about adding that extra thing that kind of makes you go to a pub or go to a bar. Because if you just want to drink the thing, you can drink the thing at home.
Is that why it takes so long to get served in a gin bar? Because they're so busy fucking around with making the drinks.
I think you might be going to the wrong places.
Okay.
I can't imagine which places you're going to, but you have that trouble, to be honest.
Which gin bars?
Which gin bar in Whittam have you been going to?
More of a gin den.
All bar one does not count.
Well, it's definitely not all bar one.
I went to the gin bar in the basement of the Three Wise Monkeys in Colchester. And there was a queue of 4 or 5 people, and it took about 20 minutes to get to the end of that queue. I mean,
I'm surprised you ended up down there.
How long does it take to put stuff in a glass and give you a drink?
But it's all different drinks, that's the thing.
There was probably 5 drinks being ordered, 5 different cocktails.
Yeah, much like the always order Guinness first thing.
Yeah. It's a bit,
ordering a round of 5 different cocktails is just going to make you unhappy.
Christmas party last year, they managed to work out that if people just want red wine, white wine or fizzy or beers, had them away from the bar. Because anyone else then can go and queue up and do the fancy ordering. So because it's only one drink, one glass, rather than a specific order. I was quite surprised you've been to a gin bar.
I'm amazed.
Once, yeah.
Did you have a nice time?
I was only in there for one drink, but it was all right. I enjoyed the gin that I drank.
Steve's growing.
Maybe, yeah.
Growing
who
as a
knows?
person.
Yeah, I'm trying new things.
But that's
Yeah.
really good. That's what this whole show is about.
It is
So
indeed.
going back to doing the gin sales, so
Yeah.
obviously gin has exploded over the last 18 months, 2 years.
Massively.
Is it hard work to get, a bit like new beers now, they say getting a new beer into a place isn't necessarily the hardest bit, it's keeping the beer in the place is the hardest bit. What about with gin?
It's exactly the same, except probably times about 100. So there's new gins coming onto the market all the time. To make gin is actually relatively easy. You need a neutral grain spirit, you need a still, and you need some flavouring. So juniper and other stuff. So you can go from separate ingredients into something in a finished bottle within 24 hours, easy, 12 hours sometimes. So there's a lot of smaller people sort of popping up. There's a lot of people doing absolutely amazing stuff, but the same as in beer, there's lots of people doing amazing stuff, and there's lots of people doing some kind of weird, not dodgy stuff, but things that probably aren't quite as premium as they're making out. But it's sort of thing that all kind of comes out in the wash, that you'll get to a point in a couple of years' time where actually the people that are really good are the people that are still around, and the same as in beer, then we probably won't have hundreds of teeny tiny people anymore. It will kind of naturally progress into the good people doing well, hopefully.
Because in the London area alone, haven't we got as many gin distilleries as breweries, or there or thereabouts?
Yeah, it's over 100 easily.
Yeah, and we've got over 100 breweries, so that's quite a lot of competition. That's taken away the big boys, so to speak, isn't it?
I think it's people are suddenly really interested in what gin they're drinking. So rather than walking in somewhere and saying I have G&T and you get Gordon's,
Yeah.
then you get gin menus, you get lists, you get people saying actually I want that specific thing and I want it with this tonic.
I was going to say it's the tonic as
Yeah,
well.
the tonic's so important, and you have a very interested and actually a really educated consumer. But you're seeing the same things in gin as you're seeing in beer, as in wine. That people really know what they're talking about. They know what they're talking about. They're really interested, and they're going in somewhere wanting to have a great experience and wanting to be involved in their drink selection rather than just having anything given to them.
Does that make it easier or harder, though? Or is it a combination of the both?
Harder, really hard. But we've got a really good product, and so my hope is that people like really good, well-made things with a great story, and it tastes good.
Fair enough.
And that's all you can really hope for.
So definitely a move on. It's definitely a different part of the drinks
Yeah.
industry, but still. Did you still want to stay in the drinks industry then?
Oh, definitely. It's a brilliant industry to work in. It's so friendly. You meet amazing people, like that one over there. He's a good butler.
Not us, though.
No, she wasn't pointing at us. She was pointing at Matt.
No, but you get
Gets to go on the UK's award-winning podcast.
all of those things. So no, it's a brilliant industry to be in, and I'm so lucky that I still get to work in an industry that's essentially my hobby. That's the great thing about it.
You still see it as that as well.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't say that. No one will be listening from work. It's fine. But it's if you're doing something that you really love and you're really interested in, then it's great because you're walking into a pub or a bar or a restaurant and you're talking about a thing that you have a genuine interest in. So that makes life good. Hopefully.
Yeah, more enjoyable, I suppose.
Yeah.
Definitely. No, thank you very much for that.
Yeah. So we finished the drinks.
Yes.
The first round.
Yeah.
At least. Let's. Which one did you prefer out of the two?
Oh, definitely the citrus sour for me because I couldn't get past the vinegar.
I think I'm going to go with you on that, despite the initial
Oh
face.
my God! Someone's given me New England IPA face.
Yeah.
And then sour.
Yeah. I don't think I didn't dislike the other one as much as you did. The nose was difficult to get past, but I quite enjoyed the sweetness in the drink. I've got quite a sweet tooth anyway, so that sweetness was quite appealing to me anyway.
I could see. Like I said, I mean, for me, it's definitely the best beer I've had from Crate. I think 3.5%. I mean, it's a fulfilling beer.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like a 3.5% beer, and the fact that it's a sour, but with what's probably our favourite hop anyway.
Yeah.
Thrown in there for good measure and coming out at 3.5%. I'd say it's a bit of a win, that one.
Absolutely.
But I could definitely see the rationale behind the pairing once you'd gone into a bit more detail in it.
Good.
So overtly and visually, not really.
No, they were completely different visually.
It's the
Visually, they were
layers.
Opposite ends
All
of
about the
spectrum.
flavour.
It's the layers.
Yeah. So our butler has presented us with our second pairing.
Yep, he slammed them down in front of us.
Yes, he did indeed. Again, two very different looking drinks in glasses.
How would you
in front of
describe
us.
the two drinks in front of us, Steve?
I would say that one on the right hand side, and none of this, which is good for audio.
Podcast. So if you're listening to this in black and white, it's on your left hand side.
Yeah. One of the drinks we're looking at, I'm going to say, it could either look like a Flanders red, or it's bull-tied.
I'd say it's a little bit lighter, but yeah, it's basically got like a brown ale colour, isn't it?
The other one looks like a lager.
Yeah, I think that's a fairly good summing up. So everyone's got an idea now what we got.
Yeah.
And even though whether it's left or right.
So do you want to have a sniff of them both first?
Okay.
I thought I wasn't too far off with that.
I think you're bang on with that, annoyingly.
That's a really strange nose.
That's the brown ale I like. It's got really quite a nice fruity nose, that one. But the golden drink, I've got no idea what it's doing.
No, I haven't. I mean, yeah, there's a little bit of
almost a creamy
Taste?
aroma.
What are you tasting first? Are we tasting?
Yeah, I'm going to go.
Taste the brown ale alike.
I'm going to go for the right hand side.
Essentially, what you think has gone off broadside. Go for that.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, it's got a Flanders red quality going on there.
I like that.
Yeah,
There's a little bit of oakiness in there, a little bit of
bit cherry.
some fruit cake.
I'm not sure about this one.
I don't know. It smells like plasticine. You remember that? Know that plasticine stuff that you used to play with?
Yeah, I remember plasticine.
Okay.
But it's been a while since I've been engaged with
I
it.
regularly smell plasticine. Yeah.
Tastes like apple juice.
That's really sticky sweet.
Right, sticky toffee.
Really
Yeah.
sticky.
Sticky apple toffee.
Yeah.
Ooh, apple toffee.
Or toffee apple even. Which is the combination that most people use.
That's it.
Mine prefers the toffee in the apple.
yeah.
It's more fun that way.
So what do you think you've got?
I think we've got a Flanders red on the right.
You do?
Yeah. And I think purely because of the apple quality, we've got some sort of cider on the left.
Kind of. So on the right, you do have Flanders Red. You've got Rodenbach Original, which came in a handy little can for all of your train drinking needs.
Oh, canned Rodenbach.
Yeah.
Oh, very actually a slim
Now, this is a
can.
beer that I've had
A Red Bull style.
quite regularly.
We've had the Grand Cru before as well. I like little 250 ml. Oh, that's
He's
brilliant
like a little
pocket
red-
size.
it's like a
Yeah,
Red
it's
Bull
perfect.
can.
I nearly drank from the train on the way home yesterday.
And you know what? They brew and craft it. Not just brew or
Oh,
craft it.
fuck
They brew
off.
and craft it. That's what it says on the can.
My mother can't listen to this now, obviously.
No. And we have.
A beautiful bottle, I might say.
This is a very beautiful bottle,
is,
but I've got no idea what it might
What is it? It's
It says Saint Grand Cru on it,
foreign.
and it's got alcohol because it says 3.5%.
It's right, we won't have any foreign things soon, it's okay.
But the rest of it, I've got no idea what it might be.
So that is a Perry.
I wasn't getting any pear though.
I get loads of pear on that. Like that kind of like roundy vanilla-y thing.
Oh, mate, I didn't. Oh, maybe that's where the creamy
Or plasticine.
cream soda aspect. I was getting.
I'm not getting cream soda.
That's where my vanilla thing came from.
So the idea behind these two is they are both aged. And they're both slightly tart, but going more on that kind of complex fruit. So not the same kinds of fruit. Obviously, the Rodenbach has got more kind of cherry and raspberry kind of characteristics to it. The Perry, you get the pear, the apple kind of characters, quite a lot of caramel as well. So this is made by a producer called Eric Bordelais, if my French pronunciation is good at all. It's made in Normandy, and it's made, essentially he believes in making perry and cider the same way that you would make wine. So he grows 20 different types of apples, 15 different types of pear. This is top perry and produced from fruit from 300-year-old pear trees.
It's unlike any perry I've had before.
It's unlike any perry I've had before as well.
Because most perries I've had have definitely got more of that very overt pear aroma and a lot sweeter. Whereas this is a lot more subtle.
So this guy used to be kind of top sommelier in Paris. He moved in 1992 to his parents' apple orchard and took over production. He really wants to make kind of complex, interesting ciders and perries that could go along food. As you can see from the bottle, can be seen in the same realms
Yeah,
as wine.
the bottle is beautiful. It's properly bulbous at the bottom and then goes up nice and narrow, doesn't it? It's lovely.
So what I really love is he's trying to do with cider and perry the same thing that a lot of people in the beer world are trying to do, and kind of elevate beer and elevate cider to be thought of on the same level as wine.
What do you think, Steve?
It's only 3.5%.
And
As
it's
well.
low
I
ABV.
don't know if you picked that up
Yep.
when you were looking at it.
Yeah, everything
Yeah.
he does, I think, is below 4.5. Because it's meant to be something that you have
would've
with a meal at the table.
Would have loved to try one of his ciders if his perry's this good.
It is, like I say, it's a beautiful bottle. The presentation of it's fantastic. It's just a little bit sweet for me. It's a little bit.
The residual sweetness.
It's on the sweet side.
I'll say it's one that I haven't tried. So this was a gift from the lovely guys at the White Swan at Stratford St Mary. Is that the Essex one?
Yeah, Suffolk Essex border.
So they gave me a couple of bottles. This is one of them, and it's one that I thought had kind of the most interest to it. So it's a gift from them.
It's definitely,
Thank you,
It
Simon.
pairs really well with the Rodenbach.
Good.
that's a good little line. It pairs really well.
That's so
Very
clever.
I
good.
didn't think about that, didn't I?
I was going to say that, like, obviously exclusive, I know what these all are, but this I thought wouldn't work at all, and it's actually really well working together.
Yeah.
I think they're
Very-
the
very
same,
similar
the
acids,
same
so.
level of acidity. So I think you get more bitterness in the Flanders Red, and you get that caramel aspect in the
like a blend.
perry.
Well,
We can blend.
You've got your own pour somewhere.
I mean, I think you're right. I think there are similarities. I think the bit more bitterness and the dryness from the Rodenbach is what's better for me than that caramel sweetness you get from the perry.
The way that I've kind of been thinking about it is, so we're trying to taste a variety of things so we kind of understand more about flavour and hopefully discover some other
Here comes
things
the
that we
sciencey
like.
bit. I told you
It's
it was
not
coming,
science.
didn't I?
It's not science.
This is it.
But equally, if you maybe have a friend who really likes cider and don't know if anyone says, "Oh, I really love perry." I'm sure some people do.
Don't know
You've
anyone who does.
got people who really like cider. Well, then the Rodenbach is the beer to get them into beer, isn't it?
Yes.
That's the thing to go to, because it's like the next step in. Like acidity wise, they're pretty much the same. So a little bit less sugar, a little bit more bitterness. But apart from that, you still get that fruitiness. You still get the richness. You see, what I really love about the perry is it has got a lot of flavour. You're not just saying that tastes of pear. You're saying actually it does have all these other characters.
I'm not really getting the pear. To be honest, I'm just getting a lot of flavour.
Yeah, which is the whole point.
And there's a lot of flavour there, 3.5%.
I think like pear core, not the juicy pear, like the middle of the pear. That's what I found from it.
I've never eaten the middle of the pear. If I'm being
I
honest.
don't like pears.
Are you meant
Well,
to eat
there's
the
a
middle of
shop.
the pear?
Like not eat the middle of the pear, but like, you know what I mean, like not the outside.
You're getting close to make sure you eat as much pear as possible, aren't you, Matt?
I want best bang for the buck, mate.
The other
I'm
thing
going to eat all of it.
The other thing I really love about it is that we kind of we look at an apple, we look at a pear, and we say, well, that must taste of apple. Where actually you get loads of amazing flavours, the same as you would from a grape, the same as you would from hops.
I could definitely see, I mean, we're recording at my workplace and we hold wine evenings as well as the beer evenings.
I don't think you've ever mentioned that before.
No, at all. The kombucha and this, I think, would play with people's minds if we presented them at a wine evening.
That'd be fun.
Especially
I think
as,
if you did the
as wrapped up,
or whatever,
no idea what you're having.
Kombucha.
Yeah, kombucha.
Yeah, because we're great in pronunciations.
Oh, we love it, don't we? We do love a word.
When are we having a bourbon? But this would mess with people's minds, especially the second one, the perry, because of the bottle.
Yeah.
As well. Because there's nothing covered up. There's nothing for people to get from that, but it's not going to be what they expect it to be. So they might guess fizzy wine or something fizzy.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's it. That's where the similarities would end. Both those first two drinks, I think, would be excellent if you were trying to convince people that they like more than, going back to the original conversation where they go,
like more than they think they do.
The conversation I have with a lot of people at work trying to get them to come to the beer tasting club is, I don't like beer, when they've only probably tasted about two, and it's probably still been the same style that they've tasted, but it's only two of them. So
you could give them a Rodenbach and
say this is the beer,
exactly.
which is what I've done when we managed to do a bit of a tasting with the wine guys. That's the kind of beer I threw in there, just so that people weren't having the usual.
And you can do tasting, so you can buy essentially black tasting glasses. So you can pour whatever you like in there. No one can see what colour it is. You don't have any of the kind of preconceptions.
So you're properly blind.
So you'd, even to the extent that if you had a red wine, you could chill it down. People automatically think that red is served at room temperature and white is served refrigerated. You can really kind of get people thinking about what they're actually tasting rather than whether they like something or not.
So is this so obviously when you pitched this to Steve and I, we thought it was both quite an interesting idea, but is there a practical application for you in your job?
Not particularly. I think one of the things, as I've kind of worked my way through the drinks industry, is we have so much more in common with each other than we think we do. And a lot of it, so when I moved from West Berks to work at Fisher's, a lot of people say, oh, well, like, you're leaving the industry. I'm like, well, no, I'm not. Obviously not. It's still selling drink, it's still selling to the same kind of people, but there's the kind of divide that you either do beer or you do wine or you do spirits or you do cider.
So you can't just be doing drink.
No, and it's opening that up. For ages I've been thinking about, I'd love to do a restaurant drinks list, and have it so rather than having like this is the red wine section, this is white wine section, this is the cocktail section, just have it in terms of flavour. So this is the like sour section, this is the sweet section, this is the bitter section, this is the rich section, and really get people thinking like, I actually want that flavour profile rather than I want that particular thing.
That'd be quite an adventurous turn for a restaurant to take.
Yeah, it would be, but
because we're so programmed to go red, white.
But there's no reason.
No,
you want to see it boxed off, don't you, in different sections?
Yeah.
But even like the overlap between red wine and white wine in terms of flavour profile is massive. You can get some really lovely, bright, light, kind of spritzy reds. You can get sparkling red wine. There's all sorts of things kind of going on, and all industries or all parts of the drink industry are innovating. So we sit here and we know that beer has obviously been on this massive journey over the past sort of 5 to 10 years. Every other part of the industry has been doing it as well. So you end up with amazing perries like this one, or interesting non-alcoholic drinks. Loads of things going on.
So definitely, I think there's definitely, with that education comes the idea, oh, hold on a second, you could have that inside the house.
But part of it's about being given the opportunity just to try some of these things.
Oh yeah.
Because this isn't a concept that you and I would have put together for a show.
Oh no, we could have been doing this for another 10 years and this would not have happened.
This would never have come up.
If I'd sent you a WhatsApp, said, how about doing some pear flavoured and apple drinks?
I would have been like, no.
That's the end of that conversation.
Yeah, that's not happening. But no, so this was your brainchild.
It was my brainchild.
You did come to us and
thank
said,
you for letting it come to life.
I think I remember the initial message was just something along the lines of, I want to come on the show and do something about taste. And I was like, okay, tell me a bit more. How do we build something from that? And obviously, without it making sound too much like we actually interview people for the show, that the pitch that you put across was, I'm gonna pair some beers with some other drinks, and I'm gonna try and test your.
Your worry was there wouldn't be enough beer.
No, that wasn't my worry at all. My worry, and I'm not worried about what's to come or what we're going to drink. I'm really not, because I'm quite excited to try some different flavours. My worry was purely not being in control, because I do like to be.
You don't do that very well. Do you?
No, I don't ever really relinquish control, do I?
It's bad enough recording in my
place.
But
I think not being in control for you is good, because actually you're viewing each drink with more of an open mind. Because if one of you was opening the can or the bottle and you knew what was coming, naturally you'd say, right, this should be like this, and you're judging it immediately against your preconceptions.
Yeah, and also the vessel it's coming. Yeah. And we haven't even seen the vessels. So
no, Matt's doing a great job of hiding everything from us, and until we need to see it.
So we had no preconception about what came out of what.
No.
So at the 2, Steve.
Oh, the Rodenbach every time.
Rodenbach, innit?
Yeah. I mean, I'm still quite chuffed that I actually called a Flanders Red.
Yeah.
You finished your perry first, though.
Yeah, because I want to wash it away with the Rodenbach.
It's a bit like Brussels sprouts on my plate. I finished them first. So I can eat something
nice.
nice.
Yeah. You eat or you drink the stuff that you don't like first, so you can have something nice afterwards. Are you blending them now?
I'm interested.
I'm not ruining a Rodenbach with that.
That's some funky fun, isn't it?
Did you try blending it, Matt?
Ruth is blending.
Yeah. Have you tried it?
First,
I'm not going to.
The pear flavour comes through more, but you've added like this lovely kind of caramelly thing going on.
What does the butler think?
What's your blend?
I didn't quite do it as elegantly as Ruth did. I just chucked what was left in.
Chucked.
Classy.
I think it works really well.
Only the best butlers for us.
No, I think it works quite well.
I think, like, if you've ever seen one of those, like the flavour stars, have you ever seen those?
Nope.
Where you have, not the thing to do on a like non-visual podcast, but if you imagine you've got intensity of flavour working out from the middle, which is 1, to the edge, which is 5.
Like this?
Well, that's a logo, but yeah, we'll use that.
No, it isn't. It's got different flavours written around it.
Oh, fine. In that case, entirely, yeah.
Again, shit for an audio.
No, you're great.
Is it like this?
Yeah. So what I've just picked up, I've just gone back to the crate's can, and on the side of it there's a hexagon.
I take back my previous sarcasm, by the way.
That says sweet, sour, bitter, hoppy, fruity colour. And then within that, it's got kind of a lines drawn inside of it to show you the profile of the drink.
So you can say, actually, out of 5, then it's 3 sweet, 4 sour.
Okay,
that kind of thing. Yeah. So if you drew the Perry and you drew the Rodenbach, I think the Perry would get a lot more on the sweetness, and obviously the Rodenbach would get a little bit more on the bitterness, but it's not massively bitter. But in terms of the other things, so fruitiness and richness, I think they'd follow the same kind of pattern.
The blend's like made the Rodenbach. It still feels like Rodenbach, but like a lighter version of it, I think, with the pear still white.
It's a cocktail, that.
Yeah.
So is that what you did in preparation for the show? Did you kind of...
No, if I was really organised, I would have done that. What I did in preparation for the show was have a big panic that I'd been thinking about something for 3 months and hadn't actually written anything down. And so I wrote every style of beer that I could think of and every style of non-beer that I could think of down on Post-it notes. And I lay on the floor and kind of placed them all out into places where they were essentially in a line from sour to rich through bitter on each side.
That's way more work than we ever do for a show.
Absolutely.
So at the top in Beerland, then you start off with the sour, and in top in non-Beerland, then you have things like a whiskey sour or the kombucha, and then try to pick the things that were kind of at the same level as you go down.
So pairing 3 has arrived courtesy of our butler.
Yeah, but they look the same.
They do look identical.
We've basically got Robinson's orange squash.
In both glasses, yeah.
I'm so pleased with this.
You have got a particularly proud face on it.
I'm so pleased, I'm sorry.
Should we go for the right hand side first?
Let's go for the right hand side.
Cheers.
I think check the aroma.
Oh, you want us to...
Oh yeah, aroma on both.
Okay, not much distinguishing between either of them. Maybe it's the same drink, one in a barrel, one not.
Okay, now I've got to say, the one that I thought was a beer, I don't think is a beer anymore. because the one, so again, not great for an audio podcast, but the one on our right has got a bit more of a head. It looks like it's got a bit more of life.
Yeah.
The one on the left looks quite flat, but the one on the left smells very Bretty. So
which one are we diving in on first?
I don't know. Let's.
I still think we go.
Let's go with the one on the right. Cheers.
Cheers.
It's got a Bretty, woody, beery feel to it.
Has it?
For me, it has.
Just tastes like a standard golden ale.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
It tastes like a
one
regional
like,
brewery's bad.
The one on the left-hand side smells
golden.
Like, smells like
just
Carver.
confirm, you think the thing number 1 tastes like a regional brewery's bad golden ale?
Yeah.
Okay, good to know.
I think the one on the left smells like a bit of a Carver.
And they never won any awards ever again.
Didn't say which regional brewery, did I?
Yeah, this feels like a Carver or something to me, or that ilk.
Oh, Sourface.
There's Steve's Sourface. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it is quite sharp.
It's not that sharp.
I think
it's not sharp.
Compared
It's
to things
just
we've already
not
had.
tasty.
I think it's sharper.
Oh, I love it.
No, I quite
I
like
think
it.
that's delicious.
But that would explain why Steve's Sourface is like that if we love it.
Would you like to know what you're drinking? I might leave you to it for a minute.
Yeah, actually, leave it for a minute. Let's drink a bit more. Let's get into opinions.
Okay, let's do it.
Opinions, 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 opinions.
So we did try to ask a question that kind of related to this show a little bit. So we asked, what influences your tipple of choice, and by tipple we were trying to get people to think about more than just beer.
Yeah.
So we did actually put that in the question as well. We were saying beer, wine, spirits, that sort of thing. And we gave 4 options. We gave occasion, taste, type of drink, or your mood. So 395 votes. 55% of people simply went for the mood that they were in at the time dictates what they want to drink at that time. 20% went for taste, and then occasion 13%, type of drink 12%. So a fairly equal split between the second 3.
Yeah.
But your mood being the
outright winner.
Yeah. So a few comments which kind of lent themselves to some of those headings. First one I'm gonna come out with though is from our number 1 fan, Paul at UNRCD, who I think totally missed the point of the poll. His response was, "What if you only drink beer?" Which
I saw that because that came out quite quickly. That one, didn't it?
Yeah, which
It kind of proves our point, doesn't it? A little bit.
It does, and I know this is what you wanted to do. Is you wanted to stop people kind of almost segmenting off different types of drink as having to be separate, and just focusing on the flavour, the taste, what you're feeling as you're drinking it, that sort of thing. So that was fairly interesting, and we did have quite a few other comments along those sorts of lines of where people and I guess as you would, people were just talking about beer.
Yeah.
But that is what we normally do.
It is not what we normally do, but we did get a few non-beery comments.
We did, yeah. So diving straight in, Ollie Clark at Various Ollie said all of the above is what influences him. That was also echoed by Martin Griffin at Martin the Monkey. Dr. Goggles at Burnt Angel. A bit of the last 2. If I'm in the mood for a beer, which I usually am, I want beer, and wine is no good to me. If I'm in the mood for a sherry, a beer won't cut it.
Who's ever in the mood for a sherry?
I don't think I've ever been in the mood for a sherry.
I can't get on with sherry. I've tried it. I've tried various sherries. I can't get on with sherry.
I've discovered port over Christmas.
Yeah.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I like port.
But why do you like it?
I don't know.
Is it sweet?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It's that sweetness.
Yeah, generally a red port is. You need to try a white port now.
Or a tawny port. Tawny's delicious.
Oh, tawny's lovely. We have tawny port.
So next time we can do various flavours of
Next time?
port.
Why is there going to be next time?
So from Gregor at Gregor J, definitely mood. I can go out and not drink anything alcoholic at all.
And then from Dick Withcombe at Ashton 1848, taste is everything. I champion the forgotten drink cider. Much of what is sold in Manchester is very poor, but increasingly high quality cider and perry. Interesting that we've now sampled on those as well. Finding a toehold. Love matching wild yeasty high tannin ciders with wild beers or natural wines.
Sounds like he would have been perfect for tonight.
He sounds like a really... I'd like to know
it sounds
that
like
man.
he should have been here rather than one of us. Maybe
Instead of both of us.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
He sounds fun.
And Beavis Morn at Emperor Beavis, probably level of thirst. With alcohol units, calories and price of good stuff, I suppose I see a tasty alcoholic beverage more than a luxury item now than a drink. If I'm really parched and at a pub, I'll have a soft drink first. Couldn't imagine slating my dry mouth with a Russian Imperial Stout or Burgundy.
Yeah, but there's probably something else.
In between those...
In between a Russian Imperial Stout and Burgundy. Yeah.
Or a gin and tonic would work really well.
4% lager.
Yeah, that would do it, wouldn't it?
But I like where his starting point is. Russian Imperial Stout or Burgundy.
Again, he sounds like the man you want to know.
Yeah. So, Dick or Bevis, if you're both available for Ruth's next appearance on the show,
you can come in and co-host with Ruth. We're quite happy
we'll
to.
be the pub
guys.
next door.
We'll be the butlers.
Whoa.
That would be so fun. Yes.
You've sacked Matt before he's even finished tonight.
No, Matt is head butler,
Oh, he gets promoted.
and then he would have...
Well, I don't
Associate
remember
butlers.
putting all these positions out for the show.
More people coming into the family.
I know.
Junior butler.
I know. We do need to have Matt at yours next time we record to fetch us beer from the cupboard to the the recording studio.
In the cupboard, I can actually literally reach from where I'm recording.
While we're recording, yeah. The Toy House Brewery at Toy House Brew said these days it's pretty much beer every time unless the occasion dictates otherwise. It's interesting. What occasion would dictate that you can't have beer?
Christmas party.
Yeah. Or a little wedding you go to.
Yeah.
Or if you're going for dinner with families, if I go to mum's and we have wine with dinner, and that's kind of it, and I'd feel a bit weird saying, actually, I don't want what you've offered me. I'm going to have this other thing.
Just going to open this that I bought myself.
Yeah, that just feels odd, doesn't it?
See, what we could have done though, that is with Toy House Brewery expanding on what the other occasion would have been.
Yeah. James at Perilous Banana.
Interesting.
That's a good name.
Great handle, that one. More than one type of beer. I tend to drink dark beers in winter and lighter beers, especially wheat beers in the summer. Very much a man after my own heart there. I am, as you've pointed out before, very much a seasonal.
You are a seasonal drinker.
At the moment, I am only interested in drinking dark beers.
Because it's just dark all the time.
Because that's what I want to drink. That's
dark
just...
like your soul.
Ooh, harsh. So Johnny, moving on. I'll move on for you there, Steve. Johnny Beerboy at Johnny Beerboy. Type of drink, because I only ever want to drink beer. I have a traditional birthday tequila once a year. And a few snowballs at Christmas. But otherwise, nothing come close to the ale. So
that
you go
wasn't
from,
what I was going
I only
for.
ever want beer, but I have tequila once a year and a few snowballs at Christmas.
I do love that he has a birthday tequila.
Yeah. How long is that bottle going to last?
No, I think sometimes people that goes and like they really want to drink the worm.
I was about to say it's going to take a few years to get to the worm.
From Mark Thorpe at Longhead23. Such a difficult answer. Depends on where I am, who I am.
Who I'm with. You missed the word.
No, that was a lot better though. Who I am with and what we're doing. Too many variables to answer accurately. Given the choice, I'd probably drink a good quality beer over anything else. That was just a long way of saying I want beer.
Basically, yeah.
He said beer.
Yeah.
And finally, Ralph, how do you say that last name? Feats?
It's Feats.
Feats. On the radar 55. Pretty much cask ale for me 100% of the time on mount. Lean towards golden and hoppy, but like stout and porter. If a spirit, then it's gin or vodka at push. At home, I'm a red wine drinker.
So he's covering all the bases there, isn't he? So I think on the whole, people were mostly saying that, a shock, listeners of a beer podcast were mostly saying we only drink beer.
Yeah. Which I suppose is our natural audience, to be fair.
Absolutely, yeah.
But there were a few things thrown in there.
Yeah, a few little curveballs.
I'm really enjoying the first drink. The one on the right hand side.
The one that we think is a beer.
The one we think is a beer.
The regional breweries.
The one that you said was the regional breweries.
You're going to be so sad.
Hang on. Should we reveal it?
No, yeah, hang on. Let me just do some.
So I think this is some Bretty pale ale of some kind.
Okay.
See, I think the other one's the Bretty thing.
No, I don't think so.
So you think regional pale ale and a Bretty thing?
Yeah.
Well, okay, good. Martin?
Oh no, I'm going Bretty pale ale on the right hand side for the beery type drink.
And what's the other thing?
I'm sticking with like a carver.
Okay, Matthew.
The beer is.
It's been unwrapped as well.
A pale ale from a regional brewery.
Well, no. Now, when I said regional brewery, you know what I meant.
So beer.
Didn't mean Burning Sky, did I? Come on.
So I said Bretty pale ale.
So beer number 3 is a saison from Burning Sky. This edition has got elderflower and gooseberry as additions. And non-beer, showing on the bottle isn't really going to help.
No, what is it?
So this is a white wine, kind of. So it's a white wine as white wine grapes. It's both natural wine and something called an orange wine, which doesn't involve oranges in any way. So a natural wine means it's made with low intervention, without kind of additional use of sulfites and that kind of thing. An orange wine means that when you make the wine, rather than removing the skins and the seeds, and you leave them in there to ferment, so you get a really round, rich flavour. Martin looks so unimpressed. It's
I'm just not sure I'm taking it all in.
That's a lot of information to take
I think it's
in.
the orange bit which is throwing me.
So orange wine is quite a new thing again. It's quite trendy. So orange wines, rather when you normally make a wine, you take your grapes, you press them, and you get the juice, and you ferment the juice. Yeah. With an orange wine, then you take the grapes, you press them, and then you ferment the whole lot. So you've got the skins, and you've got the seeds and everything else in there, and they can stay in there from anything from like a week to a year. So you get all of the extra flavour and the extra richness that comes from the skins and from the pips. They tend to be low intervention as well. So this one is Italian. It comes from, the vineyard is Chinnery. It comes from the Veneto region, so the Prosecco region in Italy. It's made from
I said Carver.
We do really well. So the blend.
I think I've done all right these two.
It's a blend of 6 grapes, all in Italian. I'm not going to pronounce all of them.
Yeah,
but
I
the
wouldn't
main,
have got that.
the main grape in it is Glera, and Glera is the grape that you use to make prosecco. So it's Prosecco region, Prosecco dominant grape.
I'm taking that.
But made in a slightly different way. So these guys.
Me sitting here thinking there were 2 types of grapes, red and white.
Okay. So the vineyard.
Not giving up the day job just yet, then, Steve.
Absolutely not.
The vineyard are organic. They are biodynamic, and they make natural wines as sort of that's what they do. So rather than using pesticides, they'll do things like planting different herbs or different plants alongside the vines to detract from pests, that kind of thing.
Which leans into what you were saying before about low intervention.
Yeah, low intervention, and then you mature it with the skins and the pips as well. So the idea behind the pairing was to look at 2 things which are quite yeast forward. So the wine is unfiltered. If you have a look at the bottle, then you can see there's still some. Well, there was some sediment in there, but they swizzed it around a bit.
Yeah, look.
Yeah, it's those. So we're looking at things that are quite yeast forward in flavour profile.
It does remind me of the look. Now, especially looking at the bottle, it looks like a cloudy cider. That's what it reminds me of in the bottle. But it's very interesting.
I love it.
It doesn't taste like white wine to me. It tastes like it's like a whole thing on its own.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, the closest I could get, because I've never had, I don't think knowingly I've had a natural wine before. Closest I could get to was like the Carver reference. Do you see the pairing, Steve?
I do. Yes.
Because you don't like either of them.
Yes. This is a very funk forward. This is a funk forward pairing, of which I'm not a massive fan of either.
But if you were into really, really funky beer, then this would be the wine to go for.
Well, I think I called it had a bit of a Bretty nose to it.
It does.
Which
I think they're almost identical. I think they're so close to each other, personally.
I found them I found overtly different, but the bits behind it get the yeast forward and the funkiness.
I think the only thing you don't get in the wine is you just don't get bitterness, because there's nothing really to bring bitterness to the party.
I think there's like some sort of like aged cheddar aroma with the wine, like very hidden. I know that doesn't sound particularly nice.
Beet wine.
But that's the only difference. I think they're really similar. This isn't your average white wine.
Up until that point, there was listeners about to go and buy that wine.
Yeah,
and
no,
Matt's just gone. No,
like cheese juice.
What I would say is, if you had it on keg and you didn't have that it was a wine on the chalkboard or the board or whatever, and you just said it was not in the yeasted ale, but it said whatever it was, just the name, people would buy it and they would drink it.
I think,
and they wouldn't.
I think if you put that in front of beer geeks, they would absolutely think it was some sort of barrel aged,
Bretty sour thing.
Yeah. I don't think anyone would call that as being a wine.
Has it been in barrels? Just out of curiosity.
I think so, but I'm not going to say 100%. I'm not very good at Italian, and translating the website was more than I was up for.
No, but it's nice to know that actually there's bits you pick up over time.
Yeah.
I mean,
apparently we do know shit.
So orange wine can get quite oxidised, so you tend to get like that nutty flavour that you get from oxidation.
Yeah.
So that would come through. I can find out about barrels. In Prosecco region, they tend to not use barrels that much, but I will find out.
Just curious, but I mean, I've finished the Burning Sky's gone.
I'm not a massive fan of the Burning Sky. I thought I was really going to love it.
Out of the two, it's my preferred.
Oh, that's saying
option.
Loads.
That's almost
the gone off.
Yeah.
The gone off.
If people could see my face as I said that, it was like, oh, if I had to.
If I had to choose between one of my children.
Yeah.
What I would say is I don't think these pairings are necessarily about the one that you prefer. Because the next one, certainly, I can almost guarantee you're going to prefer the beer. But it's more about looking for the similarities.
Really selling it there.
Looking for the similarities between them rather than looking for the differences.
I might just go and leave you two to finish this.
No.
I love both of these. I do. I think they're really similar.
Good.
Really, really similar.
No, I do. I can definitely see the similarity between the two. I prefer the Burning Sky. What was the actual name? It's Saison X or Ete?
Saison Det.
Saison It.
No, there's a duh there somewhere. Isn't
There is a duh.
I can't see now because the butler hasn't turned the bottle around.
No, there's a duh on their website if that helps you.
Well, it's not on the
No,
bottle.
but I agree that in terms of the pairings that we've had so far, this is the pairing where the drinks are very, very similar in terms of everything.
But
about
they're
them.
made from completely different things in completely different ways.
The only difference is this is the pairing that the beer fan would like something else. I think this is so different from a white wine.
Yeah.
You're not going to convince a white wine drinker to go onto the beer, I don't think. But
Okay, so what you're saying, you
definitely.
might get a beer drinker to like the wine,
100%,
but not the wine drinker.
Yeah,
to like
because this is out there, isn't it? This isn't your average white wine.
I would
so-
love to package that as a beer and
Yeah.
put it in a fridge somewhere and just
Well,
see what the reaction. Put it on taps and see what happens.
I mean, to be honest,
It'll be removed in about 30 minutes.
Yeah, we've got a moderator.
Yeah, sorry, Tom.
It's a nice looking bottle. It's a very simple bit on the front. I would agree. Actually.
You won't put a beer in a clear bottle, though, would you?
No.
Unless you're one of those regionals you were referring to.
What the hell have we got?
We've got a drink with a slice of orange in it.
Well, I mean, one of these is clearly a beer.
One of them definitely ain't.
and the other one looks like a cocktail.
Yeah.
Looks like I've hit happy hour in the Mediterranean sort of
Okay,
thing.
so one of them is a beer, one of them is a cocktail.
Well done, Steve.
I would
Good at this shit,
I would
aren't we?
like to apologise slightly for the less than elegant presentation of the cocktail.
Yeah, mine.
Yours has got like an orange sitting on top of the ice, basically.
So my orange is barely connecting with the drink itself.
It's
Normally, I would do like a really pretty orange slice, but this was needs must and a blunt.
This is more like a half-time orange.
This was a blunt bread knife, so you're gonna get what you give them. I'm going to tell you what these two are first before you drink them.
No,
because-
no,
okay.
don't.
Should we have a little sniff?
Let's have a
Fine.
sniff, let's have a
stick
taste
with
and then tell us.
Maybe you'll get the similarities between them.
Okay, so,
Let's go cheers with
Cheers.
what I assume is
Cheers.
a beer.
well, yeah,
Cheers.
this is very much clearly a beer.
That's another natural wine for you.
That smells like an IPA.
Does smell like an IPA. I'm liking the smell of the cocktail now. Oh, Steve's a little bit, that's his unsure face.
They're completely different on aroma.
It's
Yeah.
fruit.
Is
I,
it?
I know what
Fuck
fruit
me.
smells like.
Steve hasn't seen an orange for a while,
Right, I'm going to put myself out there now and
so you don't like it before you've even tasted it.
from the aromas I'm getting on it, I'm going to say I reckon that's gin based.
Okay.
So, and I do think this is some sort of IPA.
Okay, go.
It's a very soft, fruity IPA.
You know what? I wouldn't. You know what it really reminds me of?
XX.
No, one of the cannonballs from early, not early last year, but from last year's Cannonball Rum.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't put it past Ruth to have aged a cannonball, like
Which
a
one? The
human
one in-
cannonball to
one in the
give
middle?
us. Yeah, no, not the Neo one.
Oh, okay.
What?
Oh, that would be quite close to the
Yeah.
one.
Oh, God, no.
Oh.
Sight, blimey.
Sorry, did I miss the face? Oh my
This
god.
isn't even sour face. I think it might be a stroke.
A stroke.
I think we broke Steve, ladies and gentlemen.
You got nothing, have you?
No words, no. On that one.
Okay, so
Fucking hell.
this was the pairing I was most concerned about, if that helps anyone. Would
Okay.
you
So
like to know what you're drinking?
What have we
Yes,
got?
please.
So, as your beer, you have got. I'm looking at Matt to get the can because I didn't write this one down.
You've got Lervik. It's a double IPA.
It's called a really pretty can with a squiggle on it. Medicine. So this is 10.5% dipper.
But it's definitely the
Lervik.
murky, hazy kind of dipper, isn't it?
It is a mega
It
hazy
is,
dipper.
but it's got the aroma of... It's got West Coast aroma.
It's got a bit more dankness to it, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
yeah.
I'm
what
glad you said that because that's
yeah.
what we were looking for in West. the
we were
West Coast.
hoping for West Coast, but also hoping for something that's slightly more bitter than what we've got. Because actually, the beer is quite rounded and quite soft. It's amazing how difficult it is to buy a double IPA which has got some bitterness to it. So Matt and I went to beer merchants yesterday. We stood in front of an entire fridge of things that said hoppy on them, and pretty much every single one was soft, juicy.
But it's okay because Cloudwater are bringing bitterness back.
But they didn't have it then when I needed it.
So So it's all okay because we're all going to be all right now.
They've saved cask and now they're saving bitterness.
Absolutely. What are they going to save next?
I know, but they need a cape. Cloudwater need a cape.
They are the superhero of beer.
I will add that the staff in beer merchants were very helpful.
They were
trying to find a West Coast IPA.
I think they kind of knew they didn't have one, but they were as helpful as they could be.
Just order one in the first place then.
So the idea behind the pairing, which I'm aware that Steve is so unhappy with me right now.
What the second drink is though?
I'm getting to it.
I feel she's building to it.
The idea behind the pairing is we wanted a West Coast which was bitter, like real beer should be. Please don't put that in that shit.
No, that's staying in.
That's so staying in.
So properly bitter, but with a fruity citrus edge to it.
I think you've achieved that. It's
a little bit softer than I would.
It's got the West Coast nose.
I would prefer a little bit more of the harshness of the bitterness.
I'd prefer more sort of stringent.
There's not enough bitterness in the flavour for me for it to really tick the West Coast box.
The non-beer is a Negroni, which is a cocktail which
I've heard of.
Bitter and citrus notes.
Okay.
It's definitely bitter.
So what's in it?
In a Negroni is gin.
Called it.
Campari. And sweet vermouth.
Is it the Campari that gives it its colour?
It's Campari gives its colour. So Campari isn't a million miles away from Aperol. So it's a spirit that's got.
So this is just 3 parts alcohol.
Yes.
Marvellous.
So
we're
I've got
nearly
2
at the
things
end.
non-alcoholic in here. I've got ice and orange.
Is anybody expecting us to get to the end of this show in some sort of coherent
I would
fashion?
like to say that at the beginning of the show there were a lot of low and no ABV options.
However,
this
pairing is
now
a
we're gonna fuck you up.
10.5% dipper and pure booze cocktail.
That's 10.5%.
10.5% dipper.
That's a really easy drinking 10.5%.
No, it's a really easy drink.
I think I was going to say that the beer is actually really nice. I thought we've been a bit harsh because we were saying what we were looking for in the pairing, which I don't think this quite is. But as a beer, standalone beer, I actually think it's
as a standalone
really
beer. I think it's actually,
really,
and
really
also
good.
putting in context the ABV.
Yeah.
I think that's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
So what I was looking for was bitterness and fruitiness in both drinks.
I'm getting fruity aroma on the cocktail and definitely getting the bitterness. I'll get fruity flavour more from the beer.
Okay.
Apart from the slab of orange.
I'm really not getting on with the cocktail.
Well,
Do you
there's
do
basically-
any neat spirits or any like high ABV?
I'm with Steve on this one. I don't.
Because that's probably about 35%.
We've done whiskey once on the show.
40% proof.
Did we?
Yeah, we did the Tullamore.
Oh yeah, that was on a films.
Still on the show.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Opinions on film.
I'm aware it was a bit of a gamble. You don't have to drink it if you don't like it.
I've never not finished a beer on this show.
It's not a
It's a
beer.
drink. Well, I've never not finished a drink on this show, and I'm not about to start now.
And it's something you should maybe kind of sip and savour rather than.
Well,
It's that aftertaste.
But what?
It reminds me of when my mum used to spray hair lacquer, and I walked into it and got a mouthful of it.
So that's. But what? Okay, but name it.
Hair lacquer.
Be more specific.
What do you want? The brand that my mum used to
No,
use?
like the.
what's the matter with you? Did you not pay attention?
Name the fruit, herb, or vegetable. Name the consumable item.
The hedgerows.
Okay, so herbal.
Yeah. It smells like somebody's got hold of a load of those leaves off of a privet fence and screwed them up in their hands and then gone smell that. That's what it smells like for me.
Yeah, that's great. I think it's delicious.
There you go.
Do no shit.
While you're glowing in that moment of glory, shall I start with the bitter and lingers?
Let us know, write it down. Let us know, write it down. Let us know your thoughts and bitter and lingerness. Write it down.
Kicking off from Miles Lambert.
This is a really sad one,
Yeah.
actually.
One ex-number 1 fan of No Fixed Abode. One careful former owner. Moving on from that moment. So, Sean O'Reilly at Uncrulia. End of term yesterday, so catching up with the podcast today. In the Opinions on Film episode, I suggested that 10% is the starting point for an Imperial Stout. The BJCP style guide for Imperial Stout states an ABV range of 8 to 12%. Got me thinking about beer style guidelines and the beers that actually get brewed. Specifically in relation to Imperial Stouts. Here's what I found. Link to be in the show notes.
There will be a link in the show notes.
Because I'm never reading out that post, so I did read it.
To what he he found.
I did read it, but he did end up summing up by saying that he thought the 10% was actually a fair mark.
Yes, he did,
stout.
and he did also. He did quite a nice roundup of his year in beer last year, which he gave us a big shout out for. And I never knew that he only started listening to the show because of our guest this evening.
I'm waving my hands around badly.
Carry on.
I am so pleased that Sean and you have developed this lovely kind of podcasty bromance.
Well, we're trying to sign him exclusively to us, aren't we?
Because
he's very good.
He knows facts and figures.
Yeah, he's a number cruncher.
So Sean's a really, really lovely friend of mine. I've known him probably a little bit longer than I've known you guys. We met through Morris dancing. You can edit that bit out.
No, oh God, no.
I feel a whole new spin-off show coming.
But he is an absolute superstar, and it's just. Do you ever have the moment where it's so lovely that you find your friend? Like when your friend and your friend become friends, that doesn't make any sense really. It's a really lovely feeling, and he's such an amazing person.
I mean, we haven't had the pleasure of meeting him, but he always comes across.
I would like to introduce you.
So nice online. How you doing there, Steve?
I can't drink any more of that. I really can't. It's.
Oh dear.
However,
Ruth's going to take it for me.
Ruth's taking
Would you
it off
like
your
my
hands.
beer?
No, it's probably best not
sure?
to if it's
Okay.
10.5%.
No, go on, have it. Right, so next
I'll
up,
swap you. There you go. That's
we
what
have Jim Deves at Devesy. Another mention of yours truly on Britain's best beery podcast at Beery Clock Show. Thanks, guys.
I quite like that, Britain's best beery podcast.
We'll just stop there.
Well, we've got an award. We've got an award that says we are. So,
Gavin at One More Solo. Thanks for the recommendation on your Guinness show. Absolutely fantastic. I feel sorry for the beers to follow. Guinness Timmermans.
Yeah, there was a picture included of the Guinness Timmermans collaboration.
Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah. So he had managed to track down a bottle of that following the show that we did, and he thoroughly enjoyed it.
Fan of the show, Justin, managed to track down one as well recently.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I got very excited. I thought it was for bottle share when I saw it, and it wasn't. It was just being smuggled into his bag.
Yeah, he did actually.
You've got a bottle though, so
and it is outstanding.
have you had it?
Yes. In my very, very, very late Golden Pints Awards, it will feature at some point. It was that good.
So you haven't done your Golden
I know.
Pints Award yet?
When you work in the industry, December becomes a little bit of a
Blur.
horrible hole of hell.
Hole of hell.
Expect it about July sometime.
That's fine. As long as we're mentioned, that's
Yeah, if that beery podcast isn't us.
yeah, yeah. God help you. One more on this. So from talking to beery podcasts, Rhythm and Brews at Rhythm and Brews UK, who we're doing something with soon, aren't we?
Yeah, a bit of a pod crawl.
Pod crawl.
Hackney pod crawl.
I thought we were doing Shoreditch.
Hackney, Shoreditch? Doesn't matter.
Anyway, we're going to pubs, we're drinking beer,
and
we're recording the experiences.
Yes.
Matt and I are going to stalk you while you do that and take photos.
Oh, are you really?
Yeah.
Have you been invited along as well?
No.
We are now.
Oh, yeah, don't reveal the route. God help us. Thanks for the honourable mention, you two. I mean, you're wrong about the music, but it means a lot to be valued by the grandfathers of beer podcasting. I take issue with the word grandfathers there.
Yeah.
Godfathers. Of
Podfathers.
Podfathers. That's
Godfathers.
The godfathers of beer.
Podfathers is better.
Podfathers. Absolutely.
Grandfathers, no. I've got no interest in being a grandfather just yet.
No, me either. So that's great.
So what do you think of the cocktails? Oh.
Yeah, mine's gone.
You can have it back.
I don't want it back ever.
What did you think, Matt?
Can I ask what you didn't like about it?
It was.
And then Matt, go first.
I'm not really one for straight spirits. It's just too big and boozy. I don't really particularly like it.
There was a dry, overly bitter, herbally thing going on right at the end.
There is definitely a herbally
that I really didn't get on with.
See, what I was really hoping is that actually, because a lot of cocktails can be quite sweet, so I was hoping the bitterness would be the thing that really sort of chimed with the beer, because we're used to drinking bitter things.
I think the bitterness does. I think it's the herby bit.
Yeah, it's a different bitterness.
Which of the 3 drinks bring the herbs?
So you have Campari, which is a spirit with fruit and herb flavours, and then you also have the vermouth, which has different herbs and things in it.
Right, so it's
double herbaceousness.
So that's not something which we generally go for, is it?
Absolutely not. No.
There's no coconut. It could have done pina colada.
I've been down with that.
All
You
right.
would have had my dream then.
Yeah, would have had all the drinks. You could have paired that with something with Sriracha Ice in it. We would have been over the moon.
Sriracha H pina colada.
Oh,
that sounds amazing.
Horrific.
Okay, Matt's sacked. Never coming
do
up.
want to do a
You're never
beer and
catching up with
cocktail
Justin.
pairing.
That's all I'm saying.
So while we just finish off why I finish off the beer and you guys both finish off your combinations of drinks. We've mentioned it a couple of times. Ruth, you're now a trained Cicerone.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? Certified.
Can I
Certified.
ask a different question?
Yeah.
What's the difference between a Cicerone and a sommelier?
So a Cicerone is an American qualification. A sommelier is a UK qualification. They're about the same level in, like, if you're going to like put it in like GCSE A level degree, I suppose they're about the same.
And you're both now, aren't you?
All the badges.
So you've got actual real life badges.
I've got
rather than just virtual ones that we get on.
I've got a
our
wine
Who wants
badge
a real
as
life
well.
badge? So, but you have got both.
So I've got both. So sommelier for me was far more. The sommelier is far more about tasting. It's far more about food. The exam is very tasting based. So you get given several flights of beers. You have to say what they are, what ABV you think they are, what food you put with them. So, and it's completely blind, and you get 6 things that look like they're lager, and one could be a lager, one could be a sour, one could be
natural wine.
One could be a really shit like golden ale from a regional brewery. One could be a wheat beer.
Never going to be allowed to forget that.
So they're all going to look the same, and it's very much about that. And the sommelier is about demonstrating that essentially you're already doing the stuff that you need to pass qualification. So I had to show that I was doing beer and food matching, I was doing events, I was doing brewery tours, and you're already kind of living it. The Cicerone is the American qualification. Bloody hard, really was. So I managed to fail it the first time. The Cicerone is very exam based, so there's various levels of it. So you have a certified beer server, which is online. I'm a certified Cicerone, which is a proper exam, so it's 2.5 to 3 hours. It's essay questions. So they will say, so there's...
So that feels like a very old-fashioned, formal exam.
It's because it's all around the world. You have to have something that works on all different levels. So there is a tasting part of it, where you're tasting beers for faults, and then you're tasting beers for style. There's an interesting bit. The Cicerone is very much done from like the beer server's point of view, whereas the sommelier, I think, is more done from the beer appreciator's point of view. So from Cicerone, then you have things where they'd give you a beer and they say, this is what the beer is. The customer's brought it back and said they don't like it's not right, and you have to taste it and say whether you think it's right or not. So you might have some things where like you're given a wheat beer and they'd say the customer's brought it back because it's hazy, or brought it back because it is what it is. And you say, well, actually, no, the customer is not incorrect, but the beer is like how it should be. Or they might put taints in it and different things like that. So following on from our delicious impromptu and
Very
needed
snacks.
I think I was talking about the difference between sommelier and Cicerone.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Cicerone is very academic. It's exam based. You have some multiple choice questions. You have the tasting, which is off flavours and beer styles, and whether a beer is fit to be served or not. The thing that really screwed me over the first time, which I learnt from, is you then have 2 exam questions. One of which is essentially like they'll give you a beer style, which is in the syllabus, but you've got about 100 to choose from, and say, this is the style, write an essay.
An essay about a style?
Yeah.
Wow.
And you have to sit there and say, you need to cover where it's from, ABV, flavour profile, history, food match. Basically, if you're going to stand there and like talk to someone for 5 minutes about a particular beer, that's what you need to be able to write on the paper. So it's really hard. The thing about Cicerone that's great is it is an international thing far more than beer sommelier is. So they are quite different.
On a very practical level,
Yeah.
what's the benefit to you as somebody who's in the industry to have those qualifications?
I think it gives you a certain amount of gravitas, if that isn't too much of a twatty word.
It's a
Credibility.
word, I mean, to be fair, it's a word.
Credibility,
Credit.
that thing. Or it gives you credit. It
I'm
allows.
just shouting from the background.
It's really difficult because you can say, actually, I can show that I know about certain things. There are lots of people in the industry who know a lot more than me and they don't have those qualifications. So I don't like it when it's used in a like, oh, I know more than you because I've done this thing. For me, I've probably said this on the show before, when I first started studying for the beer sommelier, I was working for Adnams, an amazing brewer who I'm still a massive fan of. But I was working in a relatively...
I mean, we've never heard of them really, have we?
No.
We barely even mentioned them.
Tiny concern.
But I was working in quite a male-dominated team. They were a lot older than me. I mean, I was like early 20s. And I really loved what I was doing. And I got a bit bored of kind of being talked over, and I wanted to have an opportunity to say, look, this is a thing I really love, and this is and I can do it.
I mean, the drinks you've introduced to us tonight have proven quite a lot to us.
Apart from the Negroni, which I think is delicious,
Which
and you
Steve
guys
has loved.
98% of them so far have been spot on.
Yeah, your percentages aren't very good, are they?
No, is that not right?
It's like when we tried for the chips and the maths, and yeah.
Okay.
I did. Now I did a really
I've also
bad
just
thing
drunk a lot of 10.5% double IPA as well.
Of beer called Mediton.
Yeah.
So has the butler got some more drinks for us?
Matt, I think we can open both those at the table.
Wait, so
We're back.
we're back with the last pairing, which these ones have been poured at the table.
I think you're going to want more of them.
Sorry,
So.
but we still don't know what they are.
No, we're still wrapped in foil, aren't we?
Although they've both come out similar colours on this occasion.
You can only see one of them. Oh,
No,
there you
it's
go.
No, he's poured two of the other one as well.
Okay. Yeah. Never mind.
Our butler's really good.
My butler is really good.
Maybe a little bit more refinement required, but apart from that,
I think so. At the moment, it feels like he's literally just throwing stuff in a glass.
If
Well,
it helps,
just threw that bottle down, didn't it?
I
Yeah.
like a man who opens a bottle with his teeth.
So we've got our final pairing poured for us expertly by our butler this evening. We've got one thing that looks distinctively not beer, and once again something that looks
Not like beer.
quite beer-like.
really?
Why does one look like beer and not?
Well, because one's got a head.
No.
That's not. Oh, that's not the right thing to
Coke
look.
has a head when it's first poured.
Well, maybe we've got Coke in a glass. It could be the colour that we've got in front of us.
Ooh.
Okay, so it's saying I'd like you to have a little sniff of them both.
Okay. Ooh, God, that's like...
Aged barley wine.
Yeah, I'm calling barley wine on that one.
Oh, that's got a whiskey note. Oh no, white port, tawny port.
I'm going to go for something like I don't know, words that have just appeared in my head. A fortified wine. Is that
Ooh.
is that such a thing?
Well, that's what
It is such a thing.
Well, that's what port is, to be fair.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
I'm going to go tawny on that.
Do you want a taste?
Please. Whatever that one is, the one that we thought was a barley wine is very, very smooth. If it is a barley wine.
And the one that I thought was a tawny port, I'm going to finish in about 2 seconds.
Do you like that one?
Yeah.
Good, I'm very glad.
I like that as well. I really like this combo. Someone's going to have to slow me down
I
right
would
now.
like. So firstly, we have more of both of them.
I'm just going to
Secondly,
go cheers to me.
I did promise Steve in the pub earlier that their last beer would be one that he really liked, and that if he got through all the bad sourness, this was the reward.
So is this one's the beer, yeah?
This one's the reward.
This
They're both the reward. They're both delicious.
No, but this is the one you would have thought was a reward more than the other one.
For Steve, yeah.
That's gorgeous. That is all sorts of there's vanilla, there's oak, there's all sorts of rich fruit cake in that. There's a little bit of marzipan, and it's just so smooth on the finish. That if that's not a barley wine,
You're bang on with those.
You are bang on.
then I am not producing another podcast this year.
Try your non-beer.
I mean, to be fair, it's going to take a year to edit this one.
So describe your non-beer in a similar way.
Again, there's vanilla, there's sweet cherries in that. There's again a little bit of marzipan. That is like liquefied Christmas cake in a glass, whatever that is.
I've never had liquefied Christmas cake in glass.
No, but you've had Christmas cake.
Yeah.
So if you could imagine Christmas quake.
I'd like some Christmas quake. I'd
really like to apologise to any of our listeners that are still with us at this point.
Well
still listening to this shit.
You are right.
Yeah.
I think your description has been really good.
And the pairing of them just works so well because there are so many similarities between those two drinks.
Yeah.
Finishing on a high note, I'm so pleased. Would you like to know what you're drinking?
Love to know.
I would love to know what we're
If
drinking.
I was blindfolded and that was a blind tasting, I'd go as far as to say I'm not quite sure I could pick the beer out. Because they're, again, very similar.
I think I could pick the beer out.
The only thing with beer is
Feeling the viscosity.
the beer is...
If I was
one.
completely blindfolded, didn't see it,
I agree.
had nothing, and I was just on taste,
The
I'm not sure I could pick it out too
The
much.
thing that
that's
beer,
stickier.
Yeah.
the beer tends to have is always that bitter note, which in the Negroni you didn't have like this difference so much, but in other things,
Why
beer
have
has
you all
the
got so
bitterness.
much more in your glasses than me?
Well, there's more in the bottle.
Well, because you drank
Drank
really quickly.
because you're all challenging me to find
So,
flavours.
would you like to know about drink number 1 or drink number 2 first?
I would like to know about drink number 2 first.
Yes.
So-
yeah, the thing that we think is a non-beer.
And
Yeah.
also the thing that Martin said he doesn't like.
Oh.
You don't like sherry,
Wash.
Oh, you found a sherry I like.
and that is a sherry. So this is a blend of an Oloroso and a Pedro Jimenez. So Pedro Jimenez is a very sweet sherry. It's made when the grapes have either kind of like got really ripe on the vine, or they've been kind of dried a little bit before they've been pressed, and then like more sherries, they are fortified and they're barrel aged. An Oloroso is a sherry which again is fortified. It hasn't had that kind of like drying of the grapes, but Oloroso is made where it's in contact with oxygen, so it gets oxidized, and that's what gives the kind of nutty notes. So of these, the Pedro Jimenez and the Oloroso are made separately. They're blended, then they're aged for another 3 years in cask. So it's a big daddy.
I've had beers that have been aged in
Yeah.
both of those barrels that have tasted incredible.
This is absolutely beautiful.
The thing I really loved about this is it's made using, in terms of aging, it's made using a Solera system, which means that you age something in a cask and then you split it into another cask and top it up, and split and top and split and top, and it's the same method that you'd use if you wanted to make a barrel aged beer. So you start with one barrel, you split it again. So barrel aged broadside is made using a Solera system. So there's massive similarities and things that people learn from all different parts of the country.
That is beautiful, because obviously I did say earlier that I haven't had a sherry I like.
Yeah.
I now have.
Well,
Good.
and I
Thank you.
was sharing earlier about how I've discovered a love for port over Christmas. That's very similar.
Yeah.
In terms of the sweetness and the mouthfeel and all the flavours that are going on in there.
The thing I love about sherry in this kind of style is often like you get to the end of the night and you think, right, I want something more. I want something kind of like pudding drink, if that makes sense.
So Steve was right with the Christmas pudding.
Yeah,
It's
bang on.
Liquid Christmas pudding.
The thing that for me,
You go.
yeah, amazing. The
I've
thing,
nailed most of the flavours tonight.
Apart from the really two you didn't like.
yeah, you didn't like.
Yeah.
But you still get the flavours.
It's probably harder that way.
But the thing I love about sherry and fortified wine is, so the drink number 1 is a barley wine. So again, you got that bang on. But for me, if I was going to open a barley wine, you want to drink that all in one go. So you've got to be there, you've got to have friends around and kind of finish it. With the sherry,
Friends?
or drink it yourself.
Sharing barley wine with no one.
With the sherry, because it is like a wine, so that will be very, very happy in. I mean, sherry shouldn't be. I know everyone's probably got some like Bristol cream in their cupboard that's 400 years old, and that's probably not great.
No.
But
No,
sherry
it's just
should.
that every sherry I've tried is it's a lot harsher.
So you can. So there are different.
There's no depth.
There are 2 different arms of sherry. They're made in the same way. But when you are fermenting sherry, you have something called flor, which is the yeast, and that kind of lives on top of the sherry, and it protects it from oxidation. So some sherries are with flor, and they are non-oxidized, and some are without flor, and they are oxidized. So the Oloroso is oxidized, and that's where you get the nutty flavour.
See, this just feels so much richer than any other sherry I've ever had.
But you could open that, you'd have a little glass every night and be a very happy boy.
Very happy.
Yeah.
Boy.
Yeah, I'll be very
But
happy.
you don't. But you can have it, and that will last a couple of weeks, or more than that probably. Really? but really happy. That's the only thing for me that beer doesn't do. That the can we show the barley wine?
Hang on, before we do, I want to make.
You have drunk all of your alcohol.
I'm going to say that I think the barley wine is also barrel aged.
Yeah, you was bang on with the flavours.
And I think now I'm getting down to the last bit in my glass. I also think it's maybe bourbon barrel aged as well, because I'm picking up a lot of the toffee and vanilla notes that you'd get.
Your palate is shit hot. It really is.
There you go.
There you go. It's
see,
true.
Doing
End
this
the show there.
So this is kind of my.
Doing this since 2012 has made an impact.
I have to say, this beer is my gift to you guys. So.
Bourbon barrel aged strongman.
So we
Happy boy?
Very happy
I told
boy.
you you'd like it.
I'll have the rest of that.
So just to be clear, for the benefit of the listeners, we're going out with the strongman.
And that does have to be drunk tonight, or it'll go off and
At
taste
11.5%.
horrible
Of course
and be
it does.
bad. Yeah.
I'm drinking that sherry.
And the rather
It's
wonderful
delicious.
sherry at 20%.
But I did call the bourbon on
Yeah,
Yeah.
you really did.
Your summing up of both drinks was excellent.
that. Thank you.
It's almost like you've been doing this for a while.
Who would have thought, eh?
This is what happens after 7 years.
Is it 7 years? Oh, it will be
Well,
7
if
years.
you-
Yeah.
Yeah,
indeed.
7
I
years
would
for
like
you.
to point out that a blend would be really.
I also like to say
Really
that
cool.
is a mighty fine example of a barley wine from Magic Rock.
Yeah.
That is, I've had a couple recently. That is perfect for me.
Again, finding a barley wine is really tricky. I did originally want to get the Wimbledon barley wine, which Matt and I had at Ealing Beer Festival, and that was
And we had
just
bottle share as well.
stunning.
Yeah, we loved it at Bottle Share.
But
It
again,
was that 4X thing.
Yeah.
this was the only one on sort of available, and it is delicious.
Well, I've been a fan of Strongman since they first released it, and it's been many years since they've released it. They've only literally brought it back last year.
And they did the tiramisu version last year.
We
as well,
had the
didn't they?
tiramisu
Yeah.
version, didn't we? And then they brought out the 2 bottles just before Christmas. They brought out the bourbon barrel aged version and a rye
Yeah, that was the other
version as well. And out of the 2, this was the one that I bought because I wanted a bottle of this to put in my cellar to come back to at some point, because and I think the original Strongman was also it was the same, it was essentially the same brew as Unhuman Cannibal that year.
Okay.
That they then just,
And we know how you feel about that.
everyone knows how I feel about Unhuman Cannibal. Strongman was essentially a relation to Unhuman Cannibal.
How do you feel about your last match?
It's the match of the evening.
Yeah.
Good. I
for
wanted to
me.
finish on a
It
high.
is.
Yeah.
It is the match of the evening.
Yeah.
These drinks are very, very similar in characteristics.
They are bang on in characteristics. Just before we finish these, though, we've got one more part of the show that we just need to get in
We have
tonight.
more show stuff to
We,
do.
Oh,
we do
really?
have more show stuff to do, which is questions.
Oh,
Can I sing this? No, I don't want to sing this song.
No.
Questions fill my head.
And this is brilliant because already what we've found this year, since we announced that number one fan was a thing, there's now a battle. And there seems to be already 2 people emerging in the front running for that battle, and they've both asked questions this week.
yeah, but I don't.
Which
I
is
think
brilliant.
that there's going to be someone else coming up beyond that.
I think so. I'm not awarding it in the first week of the year, mate.
Definitely not.
That's not happening. So the first question we've got, and I shall put this to the entire table,
including our butler.
including the butler. So this is
Does that
from
mean I
Richard.
can just sit strongman?
No, I'm going to sit strongman.
There is a lot of that left.
Okay, can you just top me up, please, sir? So Richard Taylor at Rich Taylor 1608 says, "Do you think we as drinkers put too much pressure on brewers to brew different beers too often?" Put your hand down. I've not finished the question yet. A lot of untapped people only try beer once for check-in or to keep unique balance. Clearly, there should be more quality over quantity. Ruth.
Just to be clear, it wasn't my hand up in the air.
No, it wasn't. Ruth, you clearly have an opinion on this.
Yeah, 100%. I think there's this huge thing that people just want to drink new and drink new and drink new, where actually there are so many amazing beers out there. And shouldn't we be trying to find things that are amazing and consistent?
I want more than ever right now. I want consistency. I want a beer that I can go back to time and time again. I've stopped chasing the new.
I think there are some things where new things come out and they might turn into something new classic. But I think what is wonderful, so there's so many new people joining the beer scene and starting to appreciate beer, and that is such a wonderful thing. It makes